Hello. Well, this is rather welcome news. Reform to ban councils from flying woke flags. So I'm just going to be talking about that. Now, normally I'd say I'm granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds, also Twitter, now X, and Gab. Well, then BitChute went, and then Gab went, and unfortunately now I can't access Gab at all because it won't even work on a VPN anymore. So bit by bit my outlets are shrinking inwards as the hand of authoritarianism tightens around the internet. Not a lot I can do about that, and I'm going to stop giving a list of what channels I'm on, what platforms I'm on, because in 3 weeks' time I don't know if I'm going to be on those platforms at all, but they will be in the description. So, I'm granniopteryx. Okay, I'm going to start with a joke of which I'm particularly proud, and I'm not telling you it's the height of sophistication, but somebody made a comment under my last video in which I was talking about Lucy Powell, who accused Tim Montgomery when he was talking about grooming gangs, still early in the video, you see, when he was talking about those squads of so-called men, and Lucy Powell accused him of dog whistling, and somebody made a comment underneath my video saying, I'll bet you Lucy Powell hasn't even heard a dog whistle. Whereupon I, quick as a flash, said, I've never heard a dog whistle either, but I have heard a pan pipe. All right, well, I thought it was good, especially as it occurred to me really quickly, just like that. Okay, let's get to reform. Reform UK councils will only be allowed to fly the Union flag. Now, I'll do a little bit of grammatical analysis here. That only is in the wrong place. Everybody does it. Well, everybody except me. Actually, even I do it by mistake sometimes. But it's not only be allowed, it's be allowed to fly only the Union flag. Only be allowed to fly the Union flag and the St George's Cross means that a council can't do anything else but fly those two flags. Think about what you say. As I've also said, when you're talking, you make these little mistakes and they happen all the time, and you're doing things very quickly, and that's excusable, but it's not excusable when you're writing it down, because there you've got a chance to look at it and you can see what you're doing here. Reform councils will be allowed to fly only the Union flag and the St George's Cross, the party chairman has said. Zia Youssef announced on Monday that no other flags would be allowed to be displayed in the local authorities under the party's control. He said that this policy would include flagpoles, balconies, reception desks, or council chamber walls. I wonder if that would apply to little button flags as well on council workers. The announcement comes as Britain begins a celebration of the 80th anniversary of VE Day. Mr. Youssef wrote, Reform-controlled English councils will move at speed to resolve the only flags permitted to be flown or in its buildings will be the Union Jack and the St George's flag. Now, somebody said, yeah, under this policy, flags flown by council for specific days in the year, such as the Pride flag, the Pan-African flag, or the Armed Forces flag, would not be allowed. So it's, you can see it's just a general thing which applies to everyone. Mike Tapp, the Labour MP for Dover and Deal, said, as VE Day reminds us, Britain has a proud history of working with allies to defeat dictators and tyrants. It tells you all you need to know about Nigel Farage's reform, that their very first act after winning elections is to ban the Ukrainian flag from our town halls in this of all weeks. Well, as a matter of fact, I agree. They shouldn't be flying the Ukrainian flag. They shouldn't. Now, as many of you know, I am a supporter of Ukraine. I do not believe that it was right for Russia to invade Ukraine, and I do believe it's right for us here in Britain and anywhere else in the Western world to do what we can to support Ukraine. And that irritates some of my regulars because they think I'm dead wrong on that. I don't think I'm dead wrong, so I keep on talking about it. And it's especially important for the countries in Europe that border Russia, because Lithuania, Estonia, Finland, they can all feel the heat coming from Russia. And if we allowed Russia to have its evil way with Ukraine, Russia would be in Estonia right now as well. The fact is that as little as we are helping Ukraine, we could do more. As little as we are helping to bleed the Russian Empire. And that's good. Whether Ukraine survives with all the land that it's tried to defend, well, that's another matter. And yeah, being realistic, some of it might get lost. But we should not lose concentration over this. It's very important. I mean, here in England, we can sit back, we think we've got this moat around the country and Russia won't try bothering us. I've told you before that they will. I was visiting the Isle of Man many years ago, many years ago, and a relative was driving me around, I don't remember where it was, but it was along the coastal road, and I saw suddenly out at sea this bloody great battleship. I mean, it was just enormous, this grey looming shape out there, and I looked at that thing there and I thought, what's it doing there? And I said, being facetious, what's that thing doing outside, off this coast? Is it looking for Russian submarines? Ho, ho, ho. And she said, yes, they patrol regularly between Britain and Ireland and around the Isle of Man. Just off the coast of Britain, of England, or it might be Scotland, there is the deepest trench in the area. It's a very deep trench in the sea. And there's lots of dumped material in there. And that could be set off by somebody of ill will as well. That's something else we've got to worry about. In the 50s, when they were dumping stuff from the war, they weren't thinking of those things. But all sorts of really powerful explosives are at the bottom of that trench. And of course, there are cables going from England to Wales to Ireland and then across to the Atlantic as well. OK, right. Critics also claim the policy would ban county flags. Tom Gordon, the Liberal Democrat MP for Harrogate and Knaresborough, of course it would be a Liberal Democrat, wouldn't it, said, if Reform UK's chairman gets his way, Reform-run authorities would ban flying the Yorkshire flag, even on Yorkshire Day. Is that really what Reform stands for in Yorkshire? Maybe. Because once you start one flag, you're opening up to everything. I mean, it's all very well flying the Ukraine flag, but, the Pakistan flag, actually, probably will end up being flown over councils all the time anyway. But that's another matter. All right. A Reform UK source said the Tories seem more upset about Reform councils flying the Union flag than their councils flying the trans flag. And that's the ultimate, isn't it? That's where it leads to. It sums up the state of the Tory party. The sooner they're consigned to the dustbin of history, the better. I disagree with that. I think what will happen, what I'm hoping will happen, is that the Tories and Reform will be the two opposition parties, and the Labour Party will be in the dustbin of history. And that's not only because I have learnt through experience that socialism is very dangerous, but that the Labour Party are responsible for some of the worst crimes in British history. The entire grooming gang scandal, for instance, it's all Labour councils. And just because they're buttering up the Pakistani communities, or geeing up, if you wish, they are... Well, how would I put this? When you take on the socialist ideology, it gives you a pass on ordinary ethics. Conservatives are more ethical, but they are more ethical because at least the conservative philosophy doesn't give you a pass on morals. You see, the socialists could put their consciences to rest by saying, well, okay, some girls have been, I can say it now, it's later on in the video, some girls have been raped, some girls have been enslaved, some girls have been more or less kidnapped from their parents, but this is all for the greater good of social integration, diversity and all that. Or girls are being molested in girls' changing rooms by trans people who aren't really trans. They're just, putting on dresses to give them a pass for molesting girls. And that's all right then. That's all right, because the golden future, jam tomorrow, that will come if we just allow this to happen. Whereas Conservatives are a little more scrupulous about that sort of thing. So yes, altogether, I reckon that they're right, even if it does exclude some flags which some of us might say would be nice to have on a town hall. But no, the St George's flag, the Union flag in England, maybe if there are any reform councils in Scotland, there aren't now, but there might be, maybe the St Andrew's Cross and the Union flag for Scotland. You see what I mean. But keep it restricted to that, and then nobody is left out, because we are all British. That's the whole point of reform, to tell us we're all British. And there are some people who will be carried kicking and screaming into that philosophy, and there are some groups who do not wish to be British and might find that flag not to their taste. But that's not the point. It's the government's point. The government's point, whatever government it is to lead, and to lead as a British government. So reform is starting that, and I'm absolutely with it, even though, as I say, there are other flags which a case could be made for, but you can't make exceptions when you have people who wish to take advantage of those exceptions. You know, if you will do that, then why don't you do this? You know, so it's better just to stay away altogether. All right, well, that's my take on the Reform Council flag issue. Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.